Welcome to sunny Winter Haven, Florida. I'm Lane Dawg Bowers, and I want you to realize that you are greatly blessed, highly favored, and deeply loved. I hope you guys are excited about the videos I've been sharing lately about how you can control your mind and use faith and the power of your subconscious, your spirit, your creative mechanism to achieve or change anything you want in life, to achieve any goal you have in mind. Now today, I want to talk to you guys, I want to encourage you about something and share with you what happens when your circumstances outside do not meet your expectation. What happens when you run into reality, and how do you deal with that? You know, I want to share with you one of my favorite all-time verses. I know I say that. I guess I love them. I love so many of them. But Mark 11:24. Therefore I say unto you, whatsoever things you desire. That's pretty much anything, right? Whatsoever things you desire. When ye pray, believe that you receive them, and you shall have them. That is such a powerful verse. It's talking about, you know, when you pray, you're consciously, that's something you do with your conscious mind, and then the belief is something that's down in your heart. Now, one of the best ways to maximize the power of that verse is to get your belief up as high as it can. And how do you do that? You do that by changing your environment so you are around people and circumstances. You're hearing, seeing, speaking things that line up with the goal that you've set or the thing that you want to change in your life. Those things are not permanent, they are temporary. And I want to talk to you about two circumstances in my life that I hope that you can learn from. A lot of times I share with my boys that, you know, I share with them, you know, in a way to encourage them. Let me share something stupid Daddy did so that you never have to do that. And Zane's like, oh, don't say stupid. You said, well, Daddy has done some stupid things. And I try and encourage them, hopefully keep them from moving in that direction. But I want to share with you something that, you know, and this part is, you know, for the barefooters out there. You know, I also want to talk to the people who are working on creating an online business too. But listen, it's about any goal that you have that you want to set on, and what are you going to do when your circumstances do not line up, when you're not seeing what you like? You know, Napoleon Hill said, hell, circumstances, I make them. And I think it was George Bernard Shaw said, and this is not a perfect quote, but I'm paraphrasing, is that successful people get up in the morning and they look for the circumstances that they want, and when they do not get them, they make them. How do you make them? By controlling your mind, your thoughts that you have, and then choosing those things, those positive thoughts, move down into your subconscious, where slowly over a methodical period of time of seeing, speaking, hearing those good things, and your inner man starts to believe your creative mechanism. Once it receives that thing, and that you believe it, you get your belief up high. That's when your circumstances start to change. That's how you control your circumstances. Let me give you an example. There's a trick a long time ago that I did. That time it's called a feet to feet toe front, and at the time that I was doing it, nobody in the world could do it. We heard about some people doing it, maybe in the boom there was talk and rumors, but nobody we could find could do it. And what made it worse is the top guys in the world were terrified of this trick. But I had an idea. It started with an idea. I thought, you know, I can do that. I can do that. And I formed a goal. And just like I told you before, the steps that you take to form it. If you didn't get that, read or watch my previous blog post or watch the other video. But once I did that, now I want to talk to you about what do you do when fear creeps in. Well, people used to actually, that were around Winter Haven when I was working on that trick, and in South Florida when I lived down there, would literally come in the boat to watch me do this. And at first I was kind of pumped up about that, but now that I think about that, I think that they were actually expecting to see a massive crash And so that a lot of times they came in to see what was going to happen, because one, it was going to either be spectacular in the good way or the bad way. So, you know, the thing is that's hard is when your belief isn't high, and when the top guys in the world, you know, I had on one side, I had Mike Seipel telling me, you absolutely can do this. Here's what you need to do. You need to get your, you know, you need to do it on shoe skis over and over again to your, so that's slower speed, safer, until your belief is really, really high, and then go for it, you know, on your feet and long behind the boat. And then another guy that I used to practice with, Ron Scarpa here in Winter Haven, lived with him, and we had a great time for a lot of years together. And, you know, he was so terrified of the trick that he said, listen, I ain't even gonna mess with that trick. I'll drive the boat for you, I'll give you my 2 cents, watch what you're doing. But I mean, that's pretty scary when the best guys in the world don't want to do that. So what do you do? See, what I would do is when I would video everything I did, because I knew the power of seeing it in my mind. I needed to see it. But there were a lot of times where I would go out and I had a couple of wrong beliefs that sent me in the wrong direction. But I would go out there, and if I had a massive failure, when nobody could do this trick behind the boat and I was trying to do it, I would take a video, I would watch it, but then I would erase all of the bad attempts, because I knew that I did not want to get that burn in my mind. Now realize, you know, I'm kind of glossing it over, but when I fell on this trick, this was done at 43, 44, 45 miles an hour, and your foot is locked into a strap where it did not let go if you fell. So it was a hellacious fall that would take weeks, sometimes even more, to recover from. And usually I did multiple ones. If I didn't hurt myself too bad, I'd try over and over again. So now, faced with a reality that is not lining up with the circumstances I want to see, and not only just fear, but severe pain. You know, at one time I tore my hamstring and my groin. I mean, it was horrible. And other people were like, you know, that's just, maybe that's not worth doing. Maybe you should concentrate on doing these other things. But I believed I could do it. I reinforced that when I was doing something that nobody else was doing. I reinforced it by when I did it right, I would watch that over and over and over again. I knew the power of the theater of your mind, where you can see in your mind yourself doing that thing. And that's what you got to do. If you're in a situation where you are, you know, the great thing is nowadays on the internet, most of the tricks that most of you guys want to do, we've got video out there to show you how to do it right, get your mind right. And I developed a system that's so awesome, because you can actually read someone's belief level. Once, you know, the system that I developed for barefooting is Posture, Glide, and Power Band that help average people achieve extraordinary results. And I can tell within seconds of watching a person. I can read their mind. I can read it from video. And a lot of people freak out when they see me do this. I know what they're thinking, and they could be just standing on the water waiting to do their trick. I know what they're doing. I know what's wrong before they did it by reading their body language. Tony Robbins taught me this, NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Program. Anyway, when I see someone in this aggressive state, when they're skiing with what I call shoulder roll, meat hook, power band by having your hips up, a great glide, they are in an aggressive state of mind, of expectation. But what happens is students fear the thing that they're about to try. Their form breaks down, their posture breaks down, their mind breaks down. I can see that before they've even tried it, their failure level is actually increasing. And I can see that before, and that's the power that I was able to help people change their lives by saying, listen, don't even try the hard trick unless you can maintain this form, which is a lot easier than doing the trick. So once you can show me super confident 100% of the form, we got a lot better chance of doing that trick. And then what happens is they get so much more confident simply by changing their body position. That's absolutely true. If you went to Tony Robbins, paid $5,000 to sit, you know, with him and learn this, he will actually show you how to change your state of mind by simply changing your body. That's a system that I developed, you know, for barefoot water skiing from learning from Tony Robbins. But now, so what I did when I was confronted with great fear, what would I do? I would have to build my faith. And it wasn't for me a spiritual thing right at that time. It was a state of mind. And I would have to build my faith before I tried it again, because now my expectations were shattered. I was hurt, beat up, $400 or $500 in chiropractic, icing and waiting and laying off it. And now what are you going to do next time you try it? So the way I would do it, I would prepare my mind by seeing the image of me doing it over and over and over again. Then I would go and do it on shoe skis to even get more into my brain that I was absolutely going to be able to do it. And the same thing happens a lot of people like in their online businesses. People that want me to help them, if they want to start a Christian online home-based business, they want to make money from home. You can tell their likelihood of failure or success by reading their, let's call it your spiritual posture. You can literally read the way someone's heart is. Yesterday I talked about, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. How do you read that? You read that by what is coming out of their mouth, by their attitude, by what they're saying. And that is controlled and can be changed by the environment that you're in, by taking charge of your thoughts. How do you change those? You can change those by surrounding yourself with successful people that have done the thing that you want to do, and then filling your head with, as Zig calls it, the good, the clean, the pure, the powerful, and the positive, to try and get those thoughts to line up, and so that your inner man, your creative mechanism, accepts those thoughts and keeps building on that until you have an unstoppable faith that you can achieve it. Now I want to talk to you about, I'm going to move up here a little bit more, see if I can get in the sun here. I want to talk to you guys a little more about, that's bright. I want to talk to you guys a little more about, now I'm going to show you a really tough one, okay? When your reality really hits you in the gut, what are you going to do? And I'm sharing this with you not because I want you to think that, about me. I'm sharing this because I want you to have good success. And here's an example of when I was, it's been like 15 years ago. I was diagnosed, my twin brother and I have this thing that's called PSC, primary sclerosing cholangitis. And it is an incurable liver disease. Okay? Now, for those of you who have ever been diagnosed with cancer, had some major medical problem, you know that punch in the gut that you feel when your whole life starts to look different, when you are faced with the hard, cold reality of a doctor's report that says you are extremely sick, you could die, and what's worse is there is no cure for what you got. Okay? So now I want to use this as an example, because unless the reports have been exaggerated, I am not dead. So that's the good news at the end of the story. So what do you do when you're faced with a circumstance like that? Do not ignore your doctor's report. Those are what I call facts, all right? But facts are subject to one thing. That's the truth. And what is the truth? This is where I got to go to a higher level, okay, and explain to you that, that the truth is God's Word. And I believe God's Word. I am not ignoring what a doctor says. You want to take that, you want to be diligent, do that, but I've got friends right now that I'm encouraging that are faced with cancer. A good friend of mine that's cancer. What does he do daily? Building up his faith by hearing and hearing and hearing the good news that he doesn't have to be sick. He does not have to give in and die. And that's what I did. I a lot of times joke and say that, life is like a UPS truck. If you don't like what they're delivering to you, you don't have to sign for it. Okay? That's my own personal belief. But what a great way to look at life, because it's very easy to slip into a total depression. And believe me, I did. For at least a couple of days, I was thinking about the end of my life. I was thinking, so what do you do when those circumstances come into your life? I did exactly what I'm telling you. Never, ever accept fear in your life. You got to take charge of it. It's like that I told you the other day about the wild boar, with intestinal problems. Don't let that pig in your house. Okay? He's going to mess up everything. He's hurt your kids. You just would not let that in. And fear will absolutely destroy you. It's It's a negative vibration in your mind that can easily be replaced. It's much more difficult when you get the kind of news that I was talking about right there. But I built up my faith. What did I do? I heard and heard and heard and listened, and I replaced fearful thoughts with positive thoughts, with thoughts on God's Word. That's what I concentrated on. And the reason I tell you that story is, for the first time since I had this disease, and I think it is like 15 years, just the other day, I had to go in for another doctor's report. And like I say, don't ignore your doctors. Go in, do what they say to do. Because the only thing they say for what I've got is they say, eventually we cut half your liver off, slap another one on, and hope you live through it. So that's their way of dealing with it, okay? And he called me up and said, hey, and I was when I heard that they wanted to speak to me, I was not happy, because I was fearful, because I was expecting, it's bad, but it shows you I'm human. I'm human. I was expecting that they were going to tell me again that the liver enzymes are way up there, because my liver enzymes weren't a little bit high. They're like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times elevated, okay? But he called and told me, he said, I've never seen this before. Your liver enzymes have dropped to almost normal. Okay? Love that. How does that happen? You know what? That happens when you replace fear with faith. All right? You can do that in your barefoot water skiing. When a fearful thought comes in, you think, hear, and get those thoughts in your brain lined up, so you do not force fear down into your spirit. Don't believe those things. In your business, when something doesn't go right, you make a decision. I'm a huge believer in that, and bringing Jesus into the situation, everything you do. But regardless of what you believe, replace fear with faith, with good, clean, the pure, the powerful, the positive. All right? I hope that encourages you. God bless you, and expect a miracle.